Hello YouTube, how you doing today? We got the full moon coming in. It's nighttime. Sitting here, I just want to share some thoughts with you. Uh, Today I must say I had a pretty good day, right? In my videos, I talk a lot about consciousness, and I know it's a lot of content out there on the internet about consciousness, and I think part of the human experience is actually sharing your experience, especially when you're conscious, right? It's like giving a perspective, giving your perspective. Uh, I remember I once read, I believe it was some Jewish material, and it was extremely interesting. And they were speaking about the first man, Adam, and from their perspective, they were saying that Adam possessed a very huge crown. And in this crown, it held jewels. I believe it was 600,000 to be exact. And they said the actual fall of Adam was the crown fell and all of these jewels, or in another word they call them is sparks, just spilled all over the place. It's like almost equivalent to a person walking around with this huge bag of money, and the bag just rips and the money flies everywhere, and people is just grabbing and grabbing and grabbing, right? And they say that the rising man would be for him to collect all of these jewels and get all of these jewels together, right? And part of that is when we become enlightened and you become conscious, that's a jewel. That's you. Now you become a jewel. You become a instrument of God. You become a jewel, and it's incumbent upon you to share your perspective or share your angle, so that those that come after you, the more different angles that they could pull from, what it does is it's going to become the evolution or the new Adam or the new man or woman, because man and woman is all the same, right? And with that said and done is that's why it's incumbent upon us to give back. And they say, I once heard that nature doesn't love a vacuum, meaning you just take it, you don't give back. So with that said and done, in light of that and spirit of that, this is why I like to make these videos. Is this is my way of contributing to give back. And I try to, like, to me, with consciousness may mean different things to other people, right? So I just try to give my perspective, and maybe in hopes that somebody can identify with it and be like, oh, okay. And to me, consciousness is awareness, but awareness of self, and awareness of things that are taking place around you, the people around you, how it affects you, how you affect other people. Being conscious and being aware of this, I think that's the ultimate goal or the ultimate aim. So, in saying that, I just want to share some things with you. Like, a lot of times when we take these spiritual journeys, we become naive to the realities that exist around us, meaning the people that's around us. And I think sometimes because we're feeling a certain way, and you might be, your chakras might be open, your heart chakra might be open, and you just may be feeling so much compassion and so much love for humanity that you just become, a conduit of this truth, and you want to save everybody, and you want to help everybody. And I think that that's good, right? But at the same time, that could be extremely detrimental to you, because you have to realize that everybody is not on the same plane and not on the same level, and they don't see things from your perspective. So you have to respect their reality and how they function in that reality, and you have to be conscious and aware of that, because if not, it can hurt you, and it can hurt you real bad. You know what I'm saying? And years ago, I used to, like, when I was in my youth, I used to read a lot, and I can remember reading the story of Malcolm X, and I was like extremely at one time like really obsessed with the whole Malcolm X story, because I think with my intrigue with it was, and what had me in all of his story was the fact that he had evolved to such great heights. Like, he evolved from being a street individual, a person that wasn't really functioning off integrity, the con and the stealing, the lying, and manipulating, what they call the game, and he was an avid player in the game. And I was just so in awe of how he elevated or evolved to those different degrees, to the point that he became a decent human being, whereas though he wasn't so much self-centered, or he didn't like, he grew up, he became an adult. Like, a lot of adults have childlike thinkings. Like, if you understand a child, a baby cries, a baby's whole mentality is, it's about them. Everything's about them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hungry, I'm feeling discomfort, everything's about them. They haven't developed yet to the point where, as though, they have empathy for other people and feel and look at things from other people's perspective, and like, how does that affect, or my actions, or this, how does that affect said individual? And to see Malcolm X evolved to the point that he actually cared about humanity, and you could look at his story and see the different levels of his consciousness and his awareness. It's just, I was just like, as a youth, I was like fully amazed. But one thing that I that kind of like bothered me with his story was that I seen, as he elevated, he left certain things that he learned on the lower realms, right? And to me, I felt like, this is my own personal opinion, I felt like that led to his death. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have two children. I have a boy and a girl, and I used to always teach them. I said, man, everybody has good and bad in them. And I'm like, when you encounter this person, take the good, because everybody has some good to offer. Take the good from the person and leave them with the bad. Do not take the bad. You know what I mean? Because that's the whole thing. You're trying to eliminate the bad. You know what I mean? And I feel as though, like, he didn't do that. And prime example, like, when he was in the Nation of Islam, right? Of course, when you evolve to such a point, and when you're dealing with souls, you realize that souls really doesn't understand the concept of color and gender, because it's from a different reality, a different level of existence, right? So when you get that soul and you cultivate it and you refine it, your way of thinking comes in alignment with that soul, and thus you begin to think the same way, right? But the information that you acquire on those lower realms, like prime example, when he was with the Nation of Islam, right? He eventually evolved, and he grew, and he grew out of that theology. But there was still good in that, because there's good in everything, right? And one of the good things was that he eliminated was when he branched off and did his own thing. In the Nation of Islam, they had a real stellar, really intense security measure when people come in to listen to public speakers. They go through a certain search, and it's a real thorough search. And Malcolm, he declined that. He eliminated that, and he didn't incorporate that with his new level of elevation. And I think that caused the untimely demise of him. Of course, because the security was lax, gentlemen were able to enter with handguns, and that's how he was assassinated. And I think if somebody would just aware him to the fact that, no, you keep the good, you climb, that's the goal. We keep climbing till we get to that state that I was talking about in my last video, whereas though you're you're no longer underneath the mentality of others. Like you're free. You're reached that heavenly state, right? And I think if he would have done that, if he would have understand that, he probably would have been around to this day, right? But I mean, we think that we seen that light, and I believe that those type of people serve as markers or lights, as examples for us of what to do and what not to do. So when saying that, I say this: never, ever, ever forget that the people amongst you, even people that say that they love you, or the people that you say that you love, everybody has an ulterior motive, and you have to be aware of that. The smart ones, what they try to do is they try to create, the goal is to create a big enough umbrella whereas though you can embrace people, and also they can exist underneath your umbrella, and their desires and their wants and their needs can be met, right? But at the same time, you cannot be unaware or not conscious that they had these desires and they have these goals, right? And you just have to be aware of that, because if you're not, and then what happens is when their desires and their goals rears its head, and it may go in conflict of what you believe in, or the course that you're trying to go in, and you feel as though, damn, this person is in my car, or I'm in a car, and we're giving directions and we agreed upon that we're trying to get from point A to point B, and then when that said individual goes contrary to that, then all types of emotions evolve. Sometimes you may feel betrayed. Sometimes it's a whole lot of things, and I think that if you were just fundamentally conscious of the fact that this person has their own objective and their own motives, right? You can navigate a little bit better. You can definitely navigate a little bit better. So with that said and done, it was like I had an incident today, right? And the incident evolved around dealing with this individual, right? And in my mind, like I'm thinking like, okay, we have a coming together, right? And we have a plan. But the individual has their own plan, which is cool. Now, I'm totally cool with that, right? The problem that I have is the individual wants to incorporate me in their plan, but doesn't want to tell me the plan. You know what I'm saying? So it gives birth to a whole lot of you leave the door open for mistrust, duplicity, and all types of stuff, right? And I think the thing is when you deal with conscious people, everybody's conscious of a person's feeling. Everybody's conscious of the objective and the aim. And that's when you come together as a collective, as one body, one mind, because that's the ultimate goal. Because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect, and we're all trying to climb out of this. But you have to be conscious enough so you can set certain guidelines, and you can set certain rules and regulations, like, all right, this is what we're going to adhere to. Because in turn, in us doing that, this is going to bring about success. This is going to bring about your desires and your goals that you want to accomplish. And this will make everything tangible. And I think when we don't do that, it just paints a picture for disaster. You know what I mean? And you just have to be conscious. You have to be aware of that. To me, that's what consciousness is. Consciousness is, of course, making that connection, but also realizing that people have their own aims and they have their own objectives, and that's just a reality. And you can't strip people of that, because if you strip people of that, you leave them with a void feeling, like of no sense of purpose. And then a lot of times people can come to resent you for that, because they'll use you as a scapegoat, or see you as a person who killed their dreams and their hopes and their desires. And trust me, you don't want that either. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really big on communicating, but it's always bad. Just remember this: it's always bad when you have a plan and you're pulling individuals in your plan, but you don't make them aware of what the plan is. Like, that's just like, that's total, that's, to me, my personal opinion, that's insanity. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're gonna be together, if we're gonna be a team, and then it's just a whole thing, like, where's the loyalty? And sometimes loyalty depends on, you have to, like, when you make a connection with a person, and y'all come together and y'all say, listen, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna come together as a collective. You have to bear in mind, and you have to be conscious of that person's feelings, how certain things is going to affect them. And then when you come together with a plan, the ultimate goal is to protect that plan. So me personally, if we come together and we have a plan, I'm not going to let nothing intervene with that plan. But not only that, being as though you're a part of that plan, I'm going to show my loyalty towards you. And I'm not going to allow nothing to hurt you. I'm going to stay conscious of anything that will cause harm to you or your way. You know what I mean? And it's these type of things that we have to be mindful of. That goes with any relationship, basically. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you got to ask yourself, okay, where does your loyalty lies to? Your loyalty, of course, first and foremost, your loyalty should lie with yourself, right? But if you're with people that they also have your best interests at hand, then y'all could come together, and that's still in alignment with you being loyal to yourself. But at the end of the day, it's about loyalty. You know what I mean? And you have to be conscious of what you say to people. Because if you truly believe that you're a conscious being, that you're a powerful being, why wouldn't your words and your actions affect somebody else? And then at the end of the day, when you're conscious, you're in a state of tranquility and in a state of peace, that you don't want to cause any disturbance in any life force or any being. So at the end of the day, why would you go out your way to cause discourse and unease in an individual? You're not a conscious being if you do that. It's just point blank, no holding punches. Like, you're not a conscious being. So maybe you need to step back and go deeper inside of self and really ask yourself and be honest and be brutally honest with yourself. Because the reality of it is, you might be lying to yourself, or maybe this conscious thing isn't for you. And that's okay too. That's fine too. You know what I'm saying? That's okay too. But I just wanted to share that with you, man, because at the end of the day, it's like, that's what it's about, man. It's about going inside itself. It's about elevating the soul, and it's about elevating the spirit. And it's about making connections with people that are on that same vibe and that same plane, and trying to go in the same direction that you're trying to go. And with that said, man, I just wanted to share that with you guys. And you guys have a good night, man, or, like, depending on where you at in the world, have a good day. But just be mindful of conscious beings, or conscious and aware of how they affect your environment. And remember, is when you do this conscious thing, it's not about you. It's about you, but it's not about you. Who do you love besides you? And then be careful when you're dealing with the term love, because you may be loving the wrong people. You gotta know where your loyalties lie. And with that said, man, y'all have a blessed day, man, and keep your blessings up, man. Salute.